Yeah.
Here's the information that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what, talking to somebody, they're like, oh, these videos look really cool, but they don't,
There's not, I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
they feel good. They're like, woo.
Yeah.
And good morning, Rim Country. Chris Higgins in the studio. It's time for our KRIM Community Spotlight program. Again, thank you to Desert Financial Credit Union for sponsoring this Community Spotlight program. Well, every month we love having in the studio someone from the Payson Unified School District. And this morning we get a chance to talk with the school superintendent, Linda Gibson. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, people and community. It's good to be on again. Thank you.
Yes, and you can also watch the program on the KRIM FM Facebook page. We are live, and you can also watch us and also make comments, which is fun. You can comment on the live feed, ask questions on the live feed, and
Yes.
send us smiley faces and hearts and things like that.
We're happy to answer questions.
There we go. So
Rather have a question than make assumptions, right?
yeah, hey, there we go. That's always a good thing.
Yeah.
So much going on
Yeah.
in the school district. I think one of the first things probably want to talk about is the election. School board
Yes.
members and 2 new members recently
Absolutely.
elected to the board.
Right. So first off, I think it's important that, very much so important to give a big thank you to Joanne Conlon and to Jolyn Shinstock, who will be leaving us in January as PUSD school board members. And we thank them very much for their service. They have done a tremendous job. The current board that we have right now is very conscientious of finances. They're very conscientious of student achievement and also in the sense of working uniformly together. They do not always agree on things. I know sometimes people have said, oh, it's always unanimous. No, it's not. There is a lot of back-end discussions that go on that take place for where they land on some of the decisions that they make. Within there. So thank you very much to both of them for their service. We will have our last meeting of the calendar year here in December, and then new board members will come on in January. So with the recent election, Katie Taylor, who is going to be joining us as a school board member, and Susan Ward, we welcome them. They both will make exceptional board members.
Oh, yes.
And so I again think it's going to be a very cohesive board, a board that is willing to ask questions, tough questions, a board that's also willing to trust as well as to get make sure that they're very well informed before they make any decisions in that sense. So I'm excited to have both of them coming on and to be working for them.
Yes.
They, as I said to each of them, they're 1/5 of my boss in that sense, as being their only employee of the district. And I hope that we can continue to have a trusting, lasting relationship for the good of the whole.
And a word that I think we need to see exercised more often or use more often, consensus.
Yes.
So I think the way you described it, it's great. It really is a case where just because you have a unanimous vote or a majority vote, it doesn't mean that they just aren't really talking about this, or they don't disagree on some things. It isn't the case usually when you have a really good board or a good group, there is some really great discussion, but you understand that the goal is you have to make a decision and move forward. So you come to a consensus. And there's some compromise, maybe, okay, I can see it this way, but you come to that consensus, you vote and move on together as a board, unified, and that's great to see.
Right, and believe in it. And I think that's where we've taken into, when I say we, our leadership team, and even what is it that the board sees, because everybody has a little bit of a different perception, in bringing all of those views into the mix before things actually are even recommended to the board. Again, for the sake of, are we taking all of that input in and all can understand or believe and trust that we're making a sound decision here? for the good of kids.
Mhm.
And I think that's
Yes.
what's the most important thing. So we
Yeah.
definitely welcome Katie and Susan coming on. Their first meeting will be in January. I'll spend some
All right.
time with them at a conference here in the middle of December for new school board members. And but I am looking forward to it.
Yes.
I think it's good for kids.
They'll do great. They'll do great.
Absolutely.
Just want to recognize a few people watching our live stream this morning. Jeff Robbins, he comments, Linda Gibson rocks.
Aw, thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
With a muscle on it too. He must have seen your muscles.
Ah.
So he does. And then
It's a team effort. It's a team effort.
and then Barbara Underwood watching, along with Christina
Morning, Barb.
Burke.
Good morning,
And,
Christina.
Yeah, our incredible, wonderful softball coach,
Yes.
Christina Burke. Yeah, she and I haven't replied yet, but she commented to me. She asked me about softball, if still be announcing, because she said she isn't maybe super excited about the alternative, which would be her husband.
I think I saw that on Facebook as well. Something to that effect.
I had to laugh.
Yeah.
It was so funny because I tell you, he last season he announced some games. I wasn't able to get to all the games, and he filled in wonderfully. And he did, I have to say, start a tradition that I think it needs to, we need to stay with it. Nicknames. Oh my gosh, he came up with some great nicknames.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, for the girls, and it was. It just made it a lot of fun, and so I don't know. I think we need to be a team, Brian and I, or he might be ready to go. Hand it over to him, and because. Yeah, he
Christina's probably going, oh, really?
Oh, no,
He's going to
Chris.
see this. Hopefully he's teaching class so he doesn't know he's getting full credit. Right, Christina?
No, that's funny. That is good. So,
I'm going to give her a quick shot. I hope your
Yeah.
little one is feeling better. She had a little one who's not been well for a couple of days. So hopefully he's better.
hopefully.
So, but with softball,
Yeah.
the next kid topic, Kathy Manning, was hoping to be able to come in with, who's our director of business services.
Yeah.
And we always do a campaign this time of year for credit for kids. And I say softball part of it because, as we all know, or most of us know, that our athletic program, extracurricular and co-curricular programs to help benefit students, the tax credits that have been available for quite some time for not only school districts but other organizations within our community as well as the state. And we've been so thankful to have such high contributions over the years and what it really does for all of our programs to enhance them, to make them even better with what we can do for students in terms of places we can take them, things we can have in that sense. And so we're very, very thankful. And a lot of times previous years, contributions had to be made by the end of the calendar year. And as many of us know that recently changed, that they have until April tax day to make those contributions for the year. Sometimes that confuses people, right? What year did I contribute to or not? But it's a dollar for dollar tax credit and can make that payable to the program of their choice. We do have on our website at pusd10.org, in the top right corner, you'll see a credit for kids button there that they can go on and pay directly online. We did do a mailing out a couple weeks ago as well that kind of tags all of the different programs or how it could be if money comes in that is not designated to a particular area, it would go into an undesignated account. And when we say that, an account at that school choice or district office, and then a site team at that school site would determine what to use that, or a club or an organization, it could be determined to move it to there if it has come in as undesignated. But we've been able to make a lot of huge contributions because of those funds that come in from our community. You do not have to live in our community to contribute. You do not have to have a student in our school system to contribute either. And it does help with families in offsetting sports fees and so forth as well, because they can put it in as a credit for kids and also benefit from it.
And that's something that I'm glad you mentioned that, because there could be grandparents or relatives that live outside of Payson, somewhere else in the state, but they want to allocate
Right.
those taxes,
Right.
tax credit to a program,
Absolutely.
especially if
Mhm.
their grandchild is
Yep.
in a certain program, they can do
Yes.
that, and that's
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
That's
It's
cool.
really, one that comes to mind often, and I know Barb, if she's on, is familiar with this too, because we've done a Colorado ski trip with the Hike and Ski Club with the high school for many, many years. Anna Van Zyl was the one who first brought that in, and I'm going all the way back probably 26 plus years ago. I think she came 1 year prior to myself coming and was involved in that, but to where if your children were going on the ski trip or any, you could contribute to help offset the cost of that whole ski trip, that the family itself came out not having to pay anything, so to speak, right? Because either they contributed with their credit for kids or maybe grandparents did and it covered the cost, but the grandparents were able, to benefit from that as well. And the student was able to participate in that. We did a Washington DC trip in PCS many years ago, and we had a big push for students from family members or people in the community to help offset the cost of that trip. A $2,000 cost trip where Credit for Kids money is coming in to help students be able to benefit from that type of experience. And I can remember on that, we had probably 3/4 of those students, and we took, I believe it was 35. I know if any PCS folks are watching or listening, don't quote me on that, that never had been even on an airplane.
Wow.
And so just that experience of going to the airport alone is something that's, that they will have a memory for the rest of their life.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is really good. So the Credit for Kids, it's that time.
Yes,
so,
it is that time. And like I said, you can pay online, you can drop payments off. There is a drop box at the town hall office there as well for Payson Unified School District for Credit for Kids. You can always stop in at a school site or the district office if you want to do it by hand. That's fine too. Again, you have through April to contribute for 2022, but a lot of people I know, we tend to get the biggest push between November and the end of December, I would say in there.
Great.
Absolutely.
There you go. So what else you
So,
have going on?
you know what, it's funny talking about things just before we came online and what we're doing as a school district or where we really are and trying to build that pride within the district, within our students, within our staff. I know student achievement has come up quite often, and sometimes that looks a little concerning. I think when we look back at percentages, we tend to have in our minds this ABCD type percentage number. And so when we see low percentages in our minds automatically of how we were graded going up, we tend to go, oh my gosh, that's an F, that's a D, that's a C, that's a B, that's an A, what is that? I shout out to school letter grades were recently published publicly, and super excited for Payson High School that went from what previously they received a C letter grade to a B letter grade.
Nice.
Super excited. They have been working very hard, and it's not just on state test scores. I think that's the important thing to look at, especially at the high school level. Some key areas are graduation rates as well as college and career readiness. There is a whole rubric of what kids have done to be prepared for that. Our CTE programs have a piece of that component as well. And we really do have a lot at the high school level to offer students, and all of the staff over there, the administration, when I say staff, clerical staff, custodial staff, teaching staff, everybody has been really working hard to connect with kids and to move that needle. I think they have definitely stopped and said, okay, how do we get to an A now? What is that, and that criteria of looking at. So again, it is based on proficiency, and when I say state assessment, again, still focusing on the high school here, is our ACT test. One of the things, and I've said this often, is that for our families and our students and even our faculty to realize that the ACT test is not just about going to college. It does tie to other things, and now being the state assessments that we're on, how do we change that culture of thinking, well, this is just about going to college? Because previously, for you and I, you took the ACT test because you were going to go to college, or you didn't need to, or this school you had to, or you didn't, right? And now it's a requirement for all juniors, and so it's proficiency on the ACT test as well as growth measure that they're looking at within students, again, along with a couple other entities. And when we move to our middle school stayed status quo. When I say that, they received a C letter grade in previous years, still received a C. The unique thing about, we have a true middle school 6 through 8, and they are actually scored on a K-8 model. So there's some unique pieces to that. And so we're really stopping to look at how do we score statewide with schools that are within the same population number of students, have kind of the same criteria that we follow. When I say criteria, not charter schools, and how do we compare within there? And we fare well. Again, the middle school themselves are looking at what is it that we can do to move that needle. As well, again, proficiency growth is their key areas when we look at K-8. And we have moved since 2021, when we look at our data from last year, significantly within all of our school sites. However, we still have room to grow, right?
Yes.
And then we have Julie Randall Elementary School that also receives the letter grade, and they were previous years at an A. I remember Linda Scoville, who's a principal at JRE, JRE, prior to Kim Yates coming in. And when she received an A, I remember I go, you got an A? And she's like, no, we're a B. I go, no, look again. I swear it's an A. I swear, And so they're right on that cusp, and celebrated that they received an A in 2019, which was awesome. And so they are, again, right at that cusp of a B. And so they too are also looking at how do we increase proficiency and growth, because that's the most significant categories for how they receive their point values in school letter grades. Payson Elementary School does not right now receive a school letter grade. There is no K-2 model for them to look at in that sense. And so right now, it doesn't mean that we aren't looking at other entities or looking at their proficiency and growth with programs that we have in place over there as well. So super excited. Overall, when you want to look at Payson Unified School District, that labels us as a B district. Again, we all want to be A's in that sense, but at the same time, we're very proud of where we're at and the growth that we have made right now and everything. So that part's good.
And it's that recognition of, or a case of recognizing, the things that you're doing well, and then also the areas, and identifying those areas that you can improve to move that to move forward. And,
exactly.
And it's great, but I think is a case where to keep morale up, to keep people going, you can't just focus on, okay, we need an A. Absolutely. Recognizing all of the great things. And it just, I always think back to Vicki Andrews. She was on, I think last year sometime, and she runs the IT department for the Payson Unified School District. And she's great. I mean, so knowledgeable. And her and her family relocated or came down from Chicago. And she told me, and on air, explained how she and her husband chose Payson. They picked Payson because of the school district and everything the school district offered, and really the CTE programs and other programs, AVID and everything Aspire is doing. And she recognized, and having worked in a school district up there, think, oh my gosh, look at everything that's being offered. And that's why she chose Payson. So I think, sometimes, like you said, maybe a little too much emphasis just on the grades and not
Right.
looking at the big picture
Right.
and
Right.
just everything that the school district is doing
Right.
and how well
Mhm.
you're doing all those things.
Yeah, I think when I say we, I speak for the district, and when we look on the internet, we're looking at a child as a whole child. And I think you and I, and probably everybody, can think of somebody who maybe didn't do so well in school and high school who is extremely successful as an adult.
Yes.
Just because they didn't fit in whatever that box
mold.
shape or whatever it is, did not define who they are. However, the hard part is the rest of the world, the outside of a school district sometimes. Now, there's a group and there's people who will say, but how are we defining you? It's like, yes, but it's hard to define a whole child. And all they see is numbers on the outside here. And so how do we, again, as we were talking before, find that balance where we don't get so hung up over here on just the numbers, that we still are taking the human being into consideration of what we're after and what we need and what they need, right? As a whole society. And what we want is high functioning, productive citizens is what we want, right? And we want them to be able to think for themselves, to make conscious decisions and things, and to also be considerate of how does this affect the whole or those around them, not just themselves, when we do make decisions. And I was in, hopefully he won't mind, Andrew Fiala's class yesterday morning. He did an art walk, and so appreciate the invitation to come over. And he had his students, and it was awesome. He had his students, based on vocabulary, to give feedback on artist work. Now, kids didn't know who the artist was of a piece of artwork on the wall. And some of the things were, what's the value, or what's the perception, or what do you see that you appreciate? And the ability for them to learn how to give critical feedback to an artist, even though they didn't know who the artist was. The artist might have been in the room, artist might have been in another class, and how he was working with them to learn how to give that feedback and how to participate in that. And every student in that classroom was participating at some time, maybe not on the same piece of artwork, but when they went to another one, they were contributing. What's the value? What did they appreciate in there? And how do we get more of that compassion on that piece, but also giving critical feedback in a way that we can hold people accountable, but at the same time there's compassion behind it. And so I was quite impressed with the students and their thoughtfulness, and that just goes to show, I mean, that was just one snapshot. I'm not in there every day, of the work that he's doing with them, of how to bridge and to have students be able to think and be proud of what work they do, even though each piece of work is different, and what they bring to the table. So it was pretty phenomenal. But that whole child piece is hard to measure, right?
Yeah,
it's very hard to measure.
I think one of the biggest ways that it is possible to be able to teach a child holistically is investing. Your teachers and the staff and faculty have to be invested in the children, and that's something that I've really seen over the years working with the school district, and doing dances, covering sporting events, doing different things. The staff, the teachers, the coaches, all of the adults that are participating are there because they want to be, and they really care about the kids, and the kids know that, they can sense that, they realize that, and that really makes a difference. So it's that investment, and not just, oh, I have to be here. Well, I have to be here. Oh, someone has to be here. Oh, I got the short straw. I'm here. But they want to be, chaperoning the dances. They're out there dancing with the kids, whatever, just having a good time. The coaches, how much they invest in not just the programs, but the kids. Their
well, I'll tell you, coaches aren't working for the pay for a coaching stipend, I guarantee you that. And it's so small that we actually can classify it as they're just volunteering, because when you really look at the time that they put into it and the hours they put into it, it's the same thing with most positions within the education system. If you stop and look at the hourly rate, I was actually a couple individuals this last week, but I'm like, nobody, I go, don't ever look at what you make in that way, because
Yeah.
none of us we'd all be like, huh, wow, okay.
That doesn't make me feel good.
Right, exactly. And so it's really about
Yeah.
giving from the heart and being in a position of service and a desire to want to be there. With any job, if we're not enjoying coming to the job and also it filling our bucket as
Yeah.
well as somebody else's bucket, why are we doing it, right? Why do we stay?
Yeah.
And I think that's, we have employees, approximately 350 employees who like coming to work every day.
Yeah.
Some days they're a little harder for whatever reason, but everybody's there trying to give 100%. Nobody's coming in going, ugh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's crazy to me, so you have high school and then college.
Right?
So I know larger high schools,
Mm-hmm.
their coaches probably make a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
They make a little bit more. But still, you think about college coaches,
Mhm.
and I know they're the larger colleges, but you're talking about 7-figure
Right.
salaries for these coaches,
Yes.
mainly football.
Right,
maybe
right. Yeah,
some
football's always the
basketball,
king.
but
Yes.
football. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. So you think, students, athletes go from high school to college, but oh my gosh, the disparity
Yes.
between what
Right.
high school coaches get,
Mhm.
that massive 4-figure salary,
Yeah,
low fours,
yeah, yeah.
very,
Yeah.
very,
Low
very
fours,
low
yes,
barely fours.
Yes,
To
Yes, that's
It's
so
crazy.
true. It is. And it's interesting, and I don't know what the type, but you think about it, it's like, okay, well, how much money do they bring into the university so the university is willing to pay, right? I mean, and it's
It is
money.
a
It's what you're
lot.
bringing in. And
Yeah.
so, as we all know, that's why football gets so much, because they bring in the most fans,
Yeah,
the most
yeah.
money coming in. But it is interesting.
It is.
Money makes the world go around. Unfortunately, it feels like at times, like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So yes, our coaches and our volunteers, we do have so many volunteers that are, whether they're within the school system, but even our extracurricular programs, and I know we tie back to athletics on them. We do have quite a few that are just out there to help. I mean, I can remember back in my coaching days, I had 3 gentlemen who came out and helped. They weren't paid. They just were there because they enjoyed the camaraderie and the culture that we had built and wanted to be a part of it. And that's where if we ask, people come, and we do ask, and we there are times when we need different things, and so we have an amazing supportive community, by far.
Yes, we do. Our community is awesome. It's incredible. Always stepping up to answer the call.
Yes.
So it's great.
Absolutely.
Well, it is 10:30.
We could talk forever.
We could.
And I just appreciate your support for PUSD and our community's support. We wouldn't be who we are without him.
Oh no, yeah. It's we have again a great community. So many people that are supportive of our youth.
Yes.
And it makes a difference.
Yes.
It really makes a difference.
Great kids.
All working together to make them into the best, people they can be.
Yes.
So
It's fun to watch.
yeah. So thank you so much, Linda, for coming on and taking time out of your day.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh. No, it is good. I know it's it's Friday for you, so yay.
It's kind of
Sort of.
Friday. It's kind of Friday today.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yes.
Yeah,
But I appreciate you saying that. But yeah, when nobody's in the office, sometimes on Friday it's kind of quiet. You get a lot of
A
things
little
done.
bit quieter.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, and thank you everyone for listening and watching. Time to get back to the music now with some Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney and Wings, the Outfield, and more. But first, let's get a quick update from the National Weather Service.
Thank you. You always make it so
Surrounding
easy.
areas. I'm nowcast meteorologist Kim.
All right, guys.
Appreciate
See you
it.
later. Have a wonderful day.
You too. How are all